Hey Camp, this is Coach Scheno here, and this video is going to be an overview of running and how to use a hand tether while you're running. There'll be a lot of demonstrations, a lot of explanations, and then at the end there will be some workout options for you to try on your own with your guide runner. Okay, the first thing we're going to talk about is what is a tether and what is it used for. So a tether could be really anything. This one looks like a little thin piece of rope that I'm holding in my hand. A tether could also be made out of shoelace, really a piece of like thick string. What you guys are going to be receiving is resistance band. So you will be having a resistance band tether. Any of these work. Whatever you are going to use for this video is going to be fine. Again, I have a tether in my hand here that's about 1 foot long with 2 knots at each end. And what a tether is used for is it helps you run with a guide runner. So you don't need to do hand over hand. You don't need to do human guide to run. So this tether gives you a little bit more freedom to be able to run with a guide and get some information from this tether and from your guide. So a hand tether is just one form of tether. Another type of tether we have not talked about at Camp Abilities Pennsylvania is a hip tether. If you are interested in running with a hip tether, Coach Maria is going to do a video on that you could check out. That might be better for longer distance athletes who are running, who don't want to stay in sync with their arm and the leg with their partner the entire time. So that might be a video that you want to check out. The rest of this video will only be talking about hand tethers. Now we're going to tell you how to hold the tether and a little bit about the length of the tether. So the length of the tether is really up to you, whatever you feel comfortable with. The shorter the tether, the closer you'll be to your guide, kind of the easier they will be to keep you on track. The longer the tether, the more freedom that both of you have as runners. So that's up to you. You could play around with the lengths, cut it if you need to make it a little bit shorter, or tie a knot a little bit smaller to make it a little bit smaller without actually cutting the resistance band that you were given. You are going to want a knot at each side, because to hold the tether properly, what you're going to do is simply just grab onto it between 2 of your fingers so that the knot is on the inside of your hand, and then just make a normal running motion with your hand, and the tether will be out the other side of your fingers, where your partner will be holding it the same way. You are not going to want to wrap the tether around your fingers, because if one of you falls, the other could get yanked down, and it could hurt your fingers really badly. So you're just going to have a nice grip on it. I like to do it between my middle finger and my ring finger, and then the tether comes out to the other side. When you're running with your partner, you're generally going to have a more straight rope, and the rope actually tells you a lot about how you're doing in terms of staying the correct distance away from your partner. So if you actually have a lot of slack in your rope, so it maybe is not really tight, that might mean you're getting closer to your partner. And if it's pulling really tight and you feel like you're pulling, that means you're drifting a little farther away from your partner. So you want to try and keep that consistent rope tension while you're running. You might even, brush arms. That's okay. That just means that you're getting a little close, and you can feel free to drift apart a little bit more until you feel that tension in the rope again. One key aspect of using a tether is to remember your proper running form. So whether you're running with a tether, you're running on your own without a tether, it is going to be important to have proper running form. So what I'm just going to talk about really quick is how you should be running with your arms pumping. So you're going to want your arm to come all the way back towards your hip area with a 90-degree angle in your arm, and then it comes all the way up towards your cheek. So some people say cheek to cheek. So the cheek on your face to the cheek on your butt cheek. So as you run, you should pump both arms. This should not change when you are running with the tether. You're not going to run with a straight arm and holding the tether. You should try and keep that nice, easy flow of your arms pumping, even though you are using a tether.
A few things I want you to look at while Miss Scheno is running. Look at her arms and how they're moving in opposition, how her hands are moving cheek to cheek, meaning her cheeks on her face and then her butt cheeks. When you're looking at her legs, she has a flight phase, meaning both of her feet are coming off the ground at a certain part of time. A second thing is look that she's not running flat-footed. It's heel to toe, heel to toe. Last thing, look at her legs. Her legs are moving at a 90-degree angle, and her heels are almost very close to her butt when she runs. Okay, so that's what we want you to look like when you're running.
Communication is a very important part of guide running when using a hand tether. When running on a trail or anywhere else, you may find obstacles in your path. Your guide should be able to tell you when a turn, an obstacle, or people are coming up. It is important to tell your guide what type of communication you are expecting and that you would like them to share with you. In the following video, you will be able to see how the partnership is able to cross over a hose that you see in the center of the trail. Alright, we've got a slight right turn, a little bit downhill, but a rope in the road, so high knees, and 3, 2, 1. We cleared it. Okay, now it's going to be your turn to try it out. So if you are somebody who has run with a guide runner before and you are with them, you guys just, go ahead and start running. But if you are new to using a hand tether, or maybe you're working with a new guide, the way that I always like to recommend starting to practice is simply just marching in place. So you and your partner are going to just march in place. You are going to have the tether between the two of you, and you're just going to practice staying in sync, moving your arms and legs in opposition of each other, and just get that feel for moving with your partner. Once you got that down, you can start walking. So it's a good idea to start walking. So you're just gonna, start walking with your tether, with your person. So making sure that you can stay in sync while you're moving. Starting and stopping can be one of the trickiest parts of running with a hand tether. To practice, I want you to try running about 20 feet and then stopping and turning around and starting again. The repetition of starting should help you so that you have better communication and you can start off in sync with your partner. The following video will show you an example of how this can be done. Now you got some practice starting and stopping, you got some practice walking and marching in place, so it's time to go trying to run. I'm going to challenge you to go out and try and do a 10 to 20 minute run or walk using this hand tether. I want you to use proper running form. I want you to talk about some of the communication pieces that have been mentioned above, and maybe challenge yourself. Maybe you normally run on a sidewalk or on a street, but maybe now you can go out and try a trail run near you, in your backyard somewhere. So now is going to be where you guys go out and try and have the best run with your hand tether and your guide runner that you can. If you are stuck inside today, so maybe it's really cold out, maybe it's really bad weather, there are still ways for you to practice using a hand tether. I would suggest maybe practicing with someone who's never guided before to make it a little bit more challenging, and almost you teach them how to guide somebody. You don't have to necessarily run, but maybe you just guide somebody throughout your house. Walking is perfectly fine, staying with that proper form, at least with your arms, and using that tether to the best of your ability. So grab somebody, go ahead and try walking throughout your house. If it's really bad weather out there, you could still get some practice. Okay, last thing I'm going to leave you with is that after you're done with your run, I think it's a really good idea to sit down with your guide runner and talk about how it went. Do you think that was a good run? Do you think the pace could have gone up or down? Do you think the communication could improve? So discussing what you thought about the run with your partner is always a good idea after the run finishes, so that your next run could be better. That's all I have for you today. Check out the other running videos for some cool stuff with sprinting, some cool stuff with hip tethers. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I hope you guys have a great day. The rest of this video will include some demonstrations of guide running in action. In this video, notice how the runners are running in sync and they are running with proper running form. In this blooper, Alex loses hold of her tether. We have a laugh, re-grab the tether, and then continue running. This may happen to you while running, and it is no big deal as long as you communicate with your partner. Here you can see a hand tether being used to run across a grassy terrain. Notice how the guide runner is slightly in front of the person they are guiding. The next video is a good demonstration of how communication can be used to have a successful start.
Go ahead.
All right, Alex, I'm going to start with my right foot. You're going to start with your left foot, and we'll start pumping our arms. 3, 2,